Well, good evening, everybody, and once again, welcome to our continuing community forums across the Shelton School District. We're recording this, so it'll be available for folks after if they're unable to make it here tonight. And if you have questions, there are question blanks there. You can go fill those out so we can get to those. My name's Jeff Slakey. I'm with KMAS Radio, and I'm just really happy to help facilitate these conversations here. This is our third one. We're going to be at Mountain View on the 18th, and we have three representatives here from Evergreen Elementary, home of the Wildcats, Principal Paula Canady, Academic Assistant Principal Kat Kelly, and our Superintendent here is Wyeth Jessee. So again, this is just a conversation about what's been going on in this school year here at Evergreen, some things that these folks here at the dais can share out to you in the public and to help better understand what's happening here at Evergreen especially. And this is a very exciting and unique school here in the Shelton School District. So I'm going to talk with Paula here first as we go through this. Give us an overview a little bit about the school. Tell us a little bit about the makeup, how this works, and why this is so unique here in the Shelton School District.
So our school has a dual language program in it, and so what that constitutes is we have English classrooms and we have classrooms that are made up of Spanish and English learning happening within the classroom. And the really exciting part about Evergreen this year is we have really grown in our culture and our collaboration and our student growth. And so between last year and this year, we have grown from extraordinary amounts, 15.4% to 21.4%. And we have this goal of 30% students meeting the reading standard at third grade. And when I say that in third grade, that also happens in all the other grade levels. The growth is in every grade level. It's really exciting.
And you've been here for a while now as a principal, right?
This is my fourth year.
And tell me a little bit about how you've seen the growth over these 4 years with the students.
We had a change in curriculum and instruction with very high expectations, and our teachers worked very hard to adapt to teaching that curriculum with fidelity and meeting those student needs. And as we became better at teaching the curriculum and creating more resources that meet each of our individual students' needs and looking at the students' story, strength, and needs, we started to see this tremendous growth. And as we see what's working, we do more of it. And we've really been able to look into the data, and it's empowering to our staff to see the growth. It's empowering to our students. And when you start on a trajectory of growth in the nature that we have, everybody, teachers, students, staff, start to work really hard and with the determination of setting goals and meeting goals. And the families are all working with us. We're teaming with the families. We're working with student engagement activities. We're sending things home. So it becomes this team experience of collaboration for student outcomes.
Kat, can you explain how kind of a day unfolds here, especially with dual language? Is it 50-50 split, or how does it work like this?
Yeah, first off, thank you all for being here this evening. So our school hosts a 50-50 dual language program. It's a district-wide program, so students from across the district can attend our dual language program that we host here at Evergreen Elementary. 50-50 means that it's half the day in Spanish and half the day in English, and that's generally by content area. So our, for example, word study in Spanish takes place every day, as well as word study in English. Science and math are in Spanish. And then language arts, we have a year-long calendar for what language we're supporting some of those Common Core standards in for Spanish and English across each unit plan.
How long has this been going on here at this school?
Gosh.
Wyeth, Paula, anybody have an idea?
I've been here 4 years. It's been going on for 4 years that I know of. I've been in the district for 8 years. It was going on all 8 years that I've been here. I'm going to ask Conde Gonzalez if he can tell me how long
Yeah, I started here in 2003, and when I started, I was a fourth grade teacher. It was in the K-3 at that time. So the following year is the year that I started teaching fourth grade in Spanish. So since 2004, K-4, and then it was the K-5 school at that time. So
Yeah.
So 20, 21 years, something like that.
Thank you, Conde.
And is there a particular reason why Evergreen was chosen for this? Is this and Wyeth?
Welcome, everyone. So there's it's a rich history for Evergreen, and specifically the multilingual population we serve. It didn't always start that way, actually. It really started more as a world language. It really was a lot more about immersion, and a lot of families really wanting their student to learn both English and Spanish. And there's an unfortunate history here too, is that families were, let me pick the right word here, were highly suggested to come to Evergreen if they were multilingual learners or newcomers to the community. So that was actually what was going on early on in the history for Evergreen. And so there was this like mix of population here at this school. It was really had a thing of, was still an all district draw, but really wasn't as much as it is today, where it's truly an option program. You can opt into it because if you were to get multilingual services, it was going to be at the elementary level, was going to be at Evergreen. It wasn't so much at the other elementaries. And so there's some sordid history here for the Shelton School District, and I think it's best that we acknowledge that. We acknowledge what happened in the past and where we are today. It's changed over time and how things have come and gone and who wants to get those services or not. This community has changed also about the students we serve. I mean, over the last 10 years, there's been a significant increase in the number of students who where English is not the primary language at home. In fact, today, here in the Shelton School District, over 50% of the families, English is not the primary language spoken at home. And even within that last 10 years, it was primarily in the beginning of those 10 years was mostly Spanish-speaking families, and now increasingly our families have migrated here from Guatemala, and they primarily speak Mamar Concabal. And so those are just some of the shifts and origins and, districts, not just like Shelton, but other districts, they too, in the history of America, there's this shift, different cultures, migration, coming and goings, and the population's changed significantly. And I think to kind of round out that, where it's been definitely, since I got here, is, committed to dual language, but it is part of doing multilingual services, which is a state mandate, not just here at Evergreen, but also across the other two elementaries, across the entire district. And that service, in my estimation, wasn't as high quality as it is today. There's been a lot of work. One of the things we did do is hire a coordinator for multilingual services that was not here, a coordinated strategies, which we build out with families and experts when we got here for the strategic plan, and now we implement those. So it's just been a lot of evolution about how that's gone and who gets served.
After a student leaves Evergreen, what do they do with, how do they continue their education? I mean, how do they keep working on those skills that they learned here? Is that part of the other schools?
Well, from a secondary standpoint, through the world languages departments, they are accessing those courses. We had a significant number of students graduate with their seal of biliteracy in the last couple of years, which means that they demonstrated proficiency in both English and another language. We've launched, for example, the stamp test we have it in Spanish as well as other languages, but even in MUM. We have students who are Shelton Promise students attending the Evergreen State College who moved through Evergreen and are bilingual and moving on to their college experiences. So it just depends on the student and the family and the decisions they make with their academic journeys.
How's the school year going, Paula?
Outstanding. We are just moving forward. our teachers are working on developing unit plans together, collaborating. We're putting together Spanish and English resources. The unit plans, all our student materials are provided in Spanish, and we are moving forward. Our students are showing growth already, and we're consistently looking at the data and taking it apart and deciding next steps and growing. It's really exciting. We are just moving forward. The excitement is tremendous, and the student growth, when you go in and talk with the student can tell you what level of reading they're at. They can share with you what their goal is. They can tell you about what they're working on in the classroom. It's very exciting. This is very different than 4 years ago.
Thanks again, everybody, for being here. If you have questions, there's some sheets right over there you can fill out and bring them up to me. How, when you're looking for teachers here, Wyeth, how do you put that out on Indeed or whatever? How do you explain the type of learning that is here? And are the teachers fully bilingual?
That is a great question and has some complexity actually to it. One, just off the bat, a school like Evergreen is unique. It is what some people would term high needs. I mean, they are going to be just not only just because of the multilingual population, but it's really about this school has the highest rate for rating for the percentage of kids that qualify for free and reduced lunch, which is really about poverty level. Having led many of these kind of schools, it is hard to staff those to begin with, right off the bat. So, and once you have a commitment, you want to find people who are committed to serving this population. If you're not committed to serving this population, it's not going to work. It's not a one-time shop. These kids deserve continuity of service. They need a consistency, and you need to build a relationship with the students and their families. That is really going to be ultimately really essential. And then you got technical skills, right? You have technical skills like, can you really follow the wide range of learners that you're going to have at your schools? And that is, you're going to have to be able to diverse learners. We have kids that are highly capable in the class, and we have kids that are just emerging or maybe just are recent migrants to here and where English, or they didn't have a formal education or a partially formal education wherever they came from. So you got to be able to address all those things, know that, be ready on your toes, take it on, and have that. And then there's also, because the dual language program is here, there is going to be a requirement that they are going to be able to have a specific skill set in understanding specific to Spanish and English. So you do have to have a command on both sides. So if you're having that, can they be able to teach those and teach the content areas on top of it at the elementary level? My last part, though, is how do we do that? Well, we post, we recruit. It is difficult. We are in competition with other schools and other school districts for those coveted positions where people have all that range of skills and commitment that's unique to here. And you know, we've done well in it, but it is times where we do have to have special exemptions where people have to have specific visas if they come from out of the country, where we have to work with them and the lawyers. The district does sponsor that. We are committed to this. We will support those people in their certification and their visas so they continue, so we do have continuity of keeping those staff here who are here, as well as going out and recruit and finding those positions. But it is always going to be a competitive nature. I think in the future, we got a lot of kids boomeranging that left Shelton. We had actually a couple teachers this last year that were slated to come back, and they ended up getting positions at other places, not because of us, but just because of their family situation. So it's out there. It's going to continue to draw, I think, because of that. And then I would be remiss without my opportunity to say, you know, we're always looking for people that don't just speak Spanish, but mom and concable as well.
Sure. Over the last, it's been a few years, I suppose, but I've had the opportunity to judge some of the science fairs here, and those were so fun to see the kids presenting their science experiments in both languages. Last year I came and they did the reading. We did the reading thing. A lot of community people were here to see that, and just good opportunities, I think, to find out what's going on in the classrooms, especially here. I think when we've talked in these other schools that, it's been a long time maybe since anybody's been in an elementary school who doesn't have kids here, or even if they have them, maybe just dropped them off and then they're off for their day, and the parents are off for their day. But there's a lot of unique things across the district, here specifically. So when you are talking, Wyeth, about the school to your counterparts across the state or wherever, what do you say about, well, this is what we got going on here, and it's working, or it's really great, something like that?
That's a lot right there, Jeff.
Oh, yeah.
I am really proud of Evergreen. I mean, I know a lot of the staff here, they see me come here. I love speaking to them. We've had some real candid conversations, been a lot of need for continuous improvement. There was a lot of things that were not being on the same page. Some of that is a long history of, again, like I was saying, like if you're going to serve these students and you're going to serve them well, you have to be committed to that work, and you also have to work as a team. It's been a real thing of high needs schools have a lot of turnover, and so I think there's been a lot of commitment upon the staff here to really buckle down and figure out how to work to best support these students. When I got here, 9% of the third graders were meeting standard in reading and writing. We're at 21%. That's an incredible jump. The state's recognized as the #1 district in all of the state out of 295 districts for growth in early literacy, and that's large part because of Evergreen Elementary. And I think that should be recognized. I understand advocacy, I understand the history. The school has changed. This Evergreen has changed. Actually, all of our schools have changed, but I'm here at Evergreen. Everyone has changed, and I think we continue to invite, as Paula mentions, our staff, this community, the parents, obviously the students, to continue to work. I know a lot of students who've come through Evergreen really want to come back. They really want to make this place a success. It does have a really unique a family feeling, and it just gives that vibe. And I think now, because of the teaming, they have common structures, routines, they have common ways of instruction and instructional strategies, and they're all committed to really getting growth with these students. Those things consistently across each classroom, each grade level, really has created an opportunity and momentum, and that's what I do tell people about this particular school. Is it going to be tough? Yeah. High needs schools are always going to be tough. They're always going to be real barriers to the work, but when you're organized and committed like this staff are, I think that's, and obviously the families we feel blessed that they are willing to send their kids here. Thank you. Thank you for sending your kids here. It does mean a lot.
Kat, when you're in the halls, and especially at the start of a new year, and maybe now that we're 2 months in or whatever, what do you see, and how do the teachers work to build connection, camaraderie? Because I can imagine maybe if folks coming from differing backgrounds may be apprehensive of, engaging or playing with everybody, but
Yeah.
how's that work
Absolutely.
here?
We are a quarter of the way through the school year, which is amazing. So our teachers greet every student at the door every morning. We have our integrated supports and our specialist staff in the hallways greeting students by name every morning. We even have a few kids who get some extra hellos just to make sure their days are starting off on a really good foot. And then every class starts with a morning meeting, and those are attended by myself, our specialist, our integrated supports team, so the adults always have a connection with every student in every classroom throughout the school year. And those morning meetings are meant to build community and sort of build those relationships student to student as well as student to teacher, and to build that community of learning so that later in the day they can take those risks as learners, provide that answer, do that turn and talk. Maybe if you're an English speaker in a dual language classroom, you're willing to speak in Spanish during the Spanish portion of the day. So that morning meeting is really key to the rest of the day and what we're trying to build around what it means to be a wildcat.
What's a recess like? I mean, is everybody playing together? I mean, how everyone's having a good time, things like that?
I spend a lot of time at recess.
Well, then,
recess is wonderful. We made a few changes this year, and especially our students who were here last year really learned that new structure and routine really quickly around the walk-run line, which our parents might have heard about, and just to build those clear expectations so students know what is expected at recess and how to make good decisions, so show respect and solve problems. One of our recess teachers has set up some really great partidos de fútbol, some great soccer games. Then our big toy structures are, today kids were sliding down even when they were wet and rainy. So,
sure.
yeah. And I taught a couple kids how to throw a football the day before yesterday.
Right.
And that was great.
So one of the strategies we used to increase play amongst all students at recess was we created opportunities for students to learn together in the dual language classrooms and the English classrooms, to bring them together and learn together. One of the pieces that we have noticed is our dual language classrooms have a tremendous number of multilingual learners in them and less native English speakers in them. So giving them the opportunity to be next to native English speakers and different opportunities of learning is really important. And so we've created those opportunities within their academic day.
I just have to add, I come here about almost weekly. Sometimes it's a quick in and out, but the students here are just the most loving, respectful students. I am always really impressed. I've been in hundreds of elementary schools, so I just can say, like, it's really nice. And I mean, even their data shows it. There's significantly less behavioral incidents here than the other two elementaries. Not trying to show them up or anything, but I know sometimes, people have those kind of questions, and if you come here, you can see it for yourself, and you can feel it, and the data supports that.
Before we started here tonight, over the last weeks or so, we had posted this out that this was happening. We did get some submitted questions, so we'll go through these because a lot of them deal with dual language, and this is something we've been talking about. So some of the questions here: are you at capacity for dual language in each grade level, and how can dual language families get involved? Paula, Cat, either of those to you? Capacity in each grade level, and how can families get involved?
We are not at capacity in each grade level at this time, and we have many opportunities for families to get involved. We accept volunteers at all times. I'm always looking for volunteers. We also have many family engagement nights and many engagement opportunities throughout the school year. So this next Friday, we're doing our end of unit literacy sharing. So students will be sharing their writing in the classrooms with another classroom, and teachers are, the very first one, they gave students a chance to get used to the process, but teachers are starting to invite parents to this opportunity. It's really exciting because it's sharing the student growth as they go through the year. We have a literacy night in November, and we also have several different parent engagement nights throughout the year that we ask parents to come to. We have a PTSO meeting every month. And we also do our acceleration team, where we meet with parents from the students our acceleration team is an after-school program for reading. And every 6 weeks at the end of the acceleration team, we invite the parents of those students to come in and celebrate the growth.
what would capacity be? Is that what kind of a state standard of the amount of kids in a classroom? Is that what you're looking at there?
Yeah, so kindergarten through third grade, it's 20 students per classroom, and there isn't a cap on fourth grade. But we are at capacity in 2 grade levels, and in fourth grade, we have a high enough number of students in the classroom to be at capacity. And we are within 1 to 2 students in all the other grade levels.
And then you mentioned that it's not a full split between English learners and multi-language learners. What does the split look like?
I have that pretty good, yeah. So one of the things that we've been trying to strengthen in my 2 hats I wear as the multilingual coordinator for the district as well as the academic assistant principal here, working with Ms. Canady over the last 4 years, is the model program would be 50-50 as for the target languages, which for us is Spanish and English, as well as the kids in the program. And we had gotten to a point where it was about 5% students who were native English speakers and 95% students who were multilingual learners. Our current kindergarten cohort, with a little more formal recruitment effort, we did several information sessions during kindergarten roundups last year. We're at a quarter students who are native English speakers in our kindergarten cohort, and about 3/4 who are multilingual learners or bilingual. Because as the next generation of students who are Shelton grads are coming and bringing their kids to the schools, lots of those children are growing up in bilingual households already. So, yeah.
And you mentioned an opt-in, opt-out opportunity, and then 2, if you're not in the Evergreen district and you want to do this, how does that work?
Yeah, so it's a district-wide program, and we have run a lottery the last 4 years. So you apply and are lotteried in. We don't have transportation, so it is a parent transportation if you're not an Evergreen Boundary student, but we do have busing available if this is your neighborhood school. We prioritize Shelton School District students first, though, because this is a program built to support the students that we have in our school district, but we often do have outside district or neighboring district families apply as well.
And there's an online form, so anytime we have a family outside of the district that want to attend the Shelton School District, there is an online application. They fill that out. What are they seeking to do? And then we have some specific criteria that are underneath that to take into consideration of whether we grant it or not. Obviously, capacity is, the primary thing, and so here at Evergreen, we'll continue to welcome families from the outside, absolutely, here or any of our other schools, for sure. So it's out there. Rarely do we deny an application, but it does happen. So just got to apply. Really ask families to try to do that over the summer or even in the spring if they can. When you do things in the middle of the school year, that's just, I would say it to any parent moving. I'm sure a lot of educators in this room, they're like, yes, trying to keep some levels of stability for students and not make transitions in the middle of school years is just developmentally best for students, irregardless of age or district or school.
We also look at the level that the student is coming in at in grade. So what they're referring to is kindergarten level and first grade level. And when it gets into third grade level and fourth grade level, we're really looking at what their past experiences in a dual language program and looking to meet the needs of the most successful needs of that student and how we can help them to be the most successful. So really looking at that independent student's story, strength, and need to determine that.
And there's classes in each grade level that are English only, or no?
Yes,
Yeah.
there is.
And that's parents. So when you come here, are you automatically in English only and you have to switch, or you're in the multi and you switch that way, or how does that work?
That's a great question, because that's a question a lot of parents come here with. And the dual language program you apply for.
Okay.
So if a parent was just to come and enroll, they'd be enrolling for the English program. And when they even enroll in kindergarten, they enroll for Evergreen, and then they apply for the dual language program. And it's a matter of checking a box, but it is an application to the dual language program. Oftentimes, the misunderstanding that I hear most often is, I don't want my student to go to Evergreen because I don't want them in dual language. And they misunderstand the fact that we actually do have an English we are an English-speaking school as well. You know, we are a public school. And so that is the misunderstanding I hear more often.
Okay. Another one of these submitted questions goes along with this. What are the goals for this program over the next 5 years? So, Paula, Cat, for you here specifically, and then Wyeth, how does this fit into this district strategic plan? Let's start here locally, and then we'll move to this district. 5 years.
So I look at Evergreen as a whole school. And so the dual language program and our English program is a whole school. So my goals for this school is for all students to grow, and significantly. And so I want students to come out with growth not only academically but social-emotionally. I want them to be at standard. I want them to be able to move on to middle school with success. And I want them to grow in confidence. And so if they're in a dual language classroom, that requires growing in Spanish and English, and having all the materials and needs to do that, and the social-emotional support to also do that, to be confident learners. If they're in an English program, the same. As for to get there, my goal is to make sure that our teachers are always provided with the time of team unit planning, the resources with their unit plans that they need, making sure that we have the academic resources that are needed in Spanish and in English, and that we're communicating those needs back and forth to create this opportunity for students. And that is what we've been growing in, and it is showing tremendous student outcomes.
You want to add anything?
And anything of that?
I'm just continuing to look forward to each cohort, to see how each cohort can support the collaboration we're trying to model with the teachers, thinking about that bilingualism, biliteracy, and that global mindset in our dual language program, but also, we serve multilingual learners, across Shelton School District, and they all become Olympic middle school Eagles, and wanting to make sure that they have the skill set to be successful in those spaces.
I'm going to slight little turn here to answer this question. I think this is an opportunity to readjust the reality of what's going on in public education. This school was supposed to receive, over in excess of $500,000 for intervention support from the state. It did not. It did not. It got half that amount. $250,000 plus is a big deal. We had a lot of plans for this school. This staff is extremely dedicated. It was going to do a lot of planning over the summer and over the school year to support the learners and prepare. That professional development and material development is really something that continue to excel. But if we're not, we're just getting funded, or really actually the decrease in funding of public education by the state, and they have no longer a migrant grant. That's no longer not funded for homelessness, for McKinney-Vento. Look it up, research it. And so I find that a lot of people can dream big. I'm trying to actually provide the best thing we can do, basic ed, really focus on the things we have. Every kid that does come in here, We are a public school district. We will serve every single student who comes through the door here, and we will do the best we can. And that's what they do here. I see it every day. The staff that are in this room, staff that are not here, obviously Paula and Kat, the district office, we're here. I'm here all the time. I care deeply about these kids. We've gotten growth. But there are limitations of what we can do with the limited resources that we do have. And multilingual services itself is like, I call it pennies on the dollar. It's been like that for a long time. It's not just Shelton or whatever, this most recent history. It's just when you're trying to develop and help students command English, be able to express their culture, learn from other kids' cultures, and to some level of assimilate, to navigate this challenging word, a bureaucracy of public education and everything else. Those are just things that require, the ingredients, we're trying to build here, but additional resources are necessary to run things like a before after school program, a summer program that really is enriching and supporting the students, feeding them, providing clothing, emergency supports. Those are all things that are real, and that I think I wish so many people out in the public do not understand what it is they like to serve and support and grow the kind of students that they serve here at Evergreen heroically, I think in many ways. But it's just, sure, I'll be the superintendent that still give us more to advocate for enriching those things. 'Cause there's a lot of other things I'd love to do, but I talk about them when I'm trying to just operate with a way of getting basic education and getting, our goal is to get to at least 50% of our third graders meeting standard in reading and writing. And obviously the other things around a whole child. But if I can do that, then I can start and gather finances, and we can start talking about a lot of other enriching things that it would be really wonderful.
Well, that leads into this next submitted question here. OSPI and the state seem to be leaning into expanding dual language programs. What supports are available from OSPI to help grow and enrich here?
I'll take that question. So there are many different models of serving multilingual. Dual language is one of them. I think it's aspiring to put that out there around dual language. I think it's nice. I invite those folks to come here to Evergreen to see the wonderful services that are going on, but also the reality again on it. We are out there. We are the first district and the last district at recruiting events. We are burning it down. We're outreaching. We go to the colleges. I'm out there trying to get some of our students who are from here. That's some of our best recruits. But I know, talking to other superintendents of other school districts, to have people again that are credentialed and have the command of English and Spanish is one thing. I also, again, would love to get to mom and conquable as well within this model to best serve our students so that they can have a command of a language and move themselves forward. And just, when they look and sound like them and they have some shared culture stuff, that the experiences that some of our students and families have had, that's also super enriching. So that's my answer. It's one thing. I'm not going to make more. Most of these questions are about dual language. I think we've done quite an exhaustive answer to those. We support it. It's never going to go away. Love to even expand it. As they come, we'll do that. Got to turn around and have qualified staff that are ready to go do it. We'll continuously, tirelessly seek those people if it was to have more that want for that draw.
This question popped in my head and may be wildly wrong, so help me understand this. But in my mind, if I am at the school here and I'm in a multi-language classroom where I'm learning 50-50%, and I go to Olympic Middle School, am I at any sort of academic disadvantage from the other schools that are full English all the time? Does anybody know any numbers on that?
You want to start? I can go. It doesn't matter. All three of us.
I just had a conversation with our fourth grade team because math, for example, we teach in Spanish.
Okay.
So one of the moves that we're trying out this year to see if it can affect the scores, and I don't have off the top of my head the data about whether students from Evergreen perform better or worse than the other elementary schools, but we're trying something, and I think that's what's beautiful about Evergreen is that we always the staff, I mean, I've been here for 3 months, and they're like, yeah, let's try it. So Fridays are what we consider a translanguaging day. So translanguaging for math time being the day that we're going to take what we've learned, try and process it into the other language, because we're acknowledging that they are going to become Olympic Eagles. And so I've been working with that teacher on those Friday days being the day to start to build some of those more English-dependent skills to bridge that into the middle school.
Yeah.
Let me just take that question definitely straight on. So I literally, Kat and I and a couple other folks just did a huge data dive for the 5th and 6th grade students who are multilingual. So like, love the question. Didn't even know this one was coming. But I literally did that analysis. I sat there and I go through all the data and I'm penciling out about what's the growth level over the course of their, the last couple years, as far back as we have reliable data. I mean, COVID creates its own limitations, but also just about when did they come to the Shelton School District? Where have they grown on multiple measures or not? Specifically about acquisition of obviously English skills. That's what multilingual is trying to do. And who are those students and what was their experiences? So we're in the middle of it. I got some things, I got some theories, I got some action planning. I don't have it all because there's other things that are other variables. When you're talking about 5th and 6th graders, you're like, oh, they really missed some really key instruction right in the beginning of school because of COVID. That's a big variable. I mean, I got some kindergarten and 1st grade teachers here. They're like, yeah, teaching that's those years, and you had to do it online, right, Miss Gray? You know what I'm talking about. That's a tough order. So when you look at the data, there are extraneous variables. There are variables that play here that do play with our overall analysis. But we are a district dedicated to growth for all students, where they're at, where are our deficiencies. We are an imperfect district trying to be the best we can. And I know that we have not done some of our work that I wish we could do and that we can do for multilingual. That's why we have improvement. 9%, a lot of those kids, again, if you're in 6th grade and you're up there, that's part of that 9%. And that's not just, we also had really low scores at the other 2 elementaries, so it wasn't just about multilingual or Evergreen. What I'm trying to say is we're trying to enhance the education for all learners. Multilingual are part of that, and we do have a specific approach. We work on 10 strategies. We've had those. We just had a multi-day training for all of our elementary staff over the summer in August. That's one of our commitments that we've had. We're embedding it. We go through our walkthroughs, who's doing it, what's the next steps, growing it. I see a lot of the staff who are here in their classrooms have multiple strategies at work, at play. Oral language, background knowledge, right? Anchor charts and visuals, right? Specifically working on vocabulary. Those are all those strategies that we have at play. We do have books in English and Spanish for our learners. So it's got a lot of those elements that we continue to work on. So I don't know, I'm just super passionate about it. We've got work to do for sure. Would not be the first to say we don't, but I'd say for those, they're not disadvantaged by coming to Evergreen by any stretch of the imagination, irregardless of multilingual learner or not.
That's what I was going to say, is they're not disadvantaged by any means. Our staff, and I just have to acknowledge this. If you're an Evergreen staff member, would you please stand up? Because they're here. We have Evergreen staff members here, and they work exceptionally hard. And please give them a round of applause. They are working exceptionally hard to put all these, I'm sorry to put you guys in the limelight, but it's true. They're working exceptionally hard, and when things aren't working, we're working together to try and figure out how to make them work. And we're uncovering different strategies every day. There isn't a day that we're not figuring out something else, and it's not just multilingual, it's sign language. There's so many different aspects to learning and different students with different needs, and we just keep doing it. And so we're not perfect, but we're not stopping. We're moving forward, and we're making it happen. And I can show you scores, and I we've talked about the growth. Our growth is happening, and we are going to catch up to those other schools. I guarantee it. And that's going to be the proof and the evidence of the fact that it is no different here than it is anyplace else.
Today's election day. It's not on the ballot today, but it will be, as we heard from last week's school board meeting, there will be a replacement levy for the Shelton School District. So let's move into that portion of this conversation here. Wyeth, talk to me a little bit about the levy funding when it comes to Evergreen specifically here. What are some of the things that you think of or know that it touches?
Yeah, for the long history here in the Shelton School District, we've had an operations levy. So educational programs and operations levy, they now call them. They used to be old operations levies, but we run those every 3 years. They're a renewal levy. It's, again, decades of having this levy here for this community to support the direct, what they call basic ed enhancements, also around athletics and activities, and utilities and maintenance. So that's kind of your three major buckets. Formerly, used to, up to the recent state ledge, special education used to be part of that. Now the state ledge has said you cannot use levy dollars to support the education of students with IEPs. So instead you'll draw those monies right from your basic ed funds, which is really kind of an accounting shell game. But if you want to talk to me after, I'd be happy to explain that to you. I know some other people can because I've done enough presentations on it. But this levy coming up in the February ballot is, again, a renewal levy. It will be at a similar rate as the current one. And again, it will support all the basic ed enhancements and about athletics and activities. I think a lot of people don't know. Athletics, we don't have, that's not money. It comes straight from the levy. There's no extra basic ed. The only way those athletics and activities happen for students is coming from the levy. They would all go away. So like Yelm, for example, is usually my example. I'm sure they don't love that. They had a double levy failure. They pay about $1,300 or $1,400 per student to participate in a varsity, and then plus also find your own ride. Those are some of the things that go on, but that really touches. Also, I just had to cover utilities and insurance. Those things we have been shorted. The district has had to fund $3 additional million to support our bills, just basic bills of keeping the lights on, the water running, the garbage, the sewer. Over the last 4 years, $3 additional million has had to come from the levy to pay that because the state's short. If the state's short, you don't get it. Your average teacher, the state gives us $77,000 for every teacher. For our average teacher here, it makes $95,000. That's our market rate. You can look it up. You can look at other districts in the region. We would, of course, want to be competitive. We are. How do you make up that shortfall? The levy. It comes from the levy. So every staff member is touched in many ways because what they call the proportionment and about what they call the basic salary and funding for items like maintenance and utilities and salaries are all shorter than the actual cost. How to make up that difference is your levy. Without it, so it's $10 million each year. So it's a $10 million out of an $85 million budget. This last round, because of the shortage of funding, has been our cuts that we had to do this last year was because of about a $2.2 million shortfall. You could imagine what a $10 million shortfall would look like for the Shelton School District and specifically Evergreen if this particular levy was to not go through by the voters.
Any other specifics that you can share about that here from the principal perspective?
Well, we've had discussions here with staff and talking about how the levy would affect Evergreen, because I think that's the piece that's really important to talk about is how does it affect us? And pardon?
Support Evergreen.
Support Evergreen. How does the levy support Evergreen? And so we have an after-school sports that is so important to our students. Several different sports opportunities: soccer, volleyball, basketball, track. We also do our acceleration team. We have our paraeducators, and our paraeducators, they assist with our students' needs. They help out at recess. They monitor lunch. They assist our teachers. They're key aspects of learning in our. And we have our assistant principal. That is another piece that the levy supports, is the assistant principal, and that's also key to the functioning of the school and assisting in, especially because she is also the multilingual coordinator for the district, and so it really helps with our dual language program. And then we have our secretarial support, our maintenance support, and our custodial support, which are just basic functions of running a school, and our med tech.
And one thing that's amazing about that, the way Evergreen comes together and collaborates, and everyone chips in on everything. I mean, even our custodial staff are at breakfast and lunch, supporting students, building relationships with students. Same with our med tech. It really is student-centered, and that's what's really special about the staff here, and losing any piece of that would be a huge impact on our student and our learning community.
We got about 10 minutes left, and we did get 2 questions in, and these 2 questions really do show and shine a spotlight on the uniqueness of this school here. First one, are there any plans to discontinue the Spanish program at this school?
No.
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 And Wyeth, I'll let you answer this one here. What measures are in place to protect students from federal immigration? And what should children do if they are left home alone or separated from their parents?
Well, that's a lot. One, I just want to acknowledge for this community, it really does. I am saddened to say that I personally drove right up into a raid where, students were separated from family members right here a month ago at 6:50 in the morning. And, it's unsettling to our families. That's what, really comes to mind is how, again, we're trying to talk, like when I get asked about enrichment and all these things, I'm like, we're trying to get kids to feel comfortable and families feel comfortable to send their kids to school, to trust us, to make sure we come through, right? To getting to the solution, to the questions, and like, how do you help them? Well, are they willing to tell us? What's going on? Sometimes people, they just go dark. They'll just hide. They'll move away. They just want to be contacted. They'll shift over and move somewhere else and not notify us. So, and then we might have an emergency where I don't know the contact information, but the kid does show up. Or it'll be a sibling that'll now move to bringing a student. We have a lot of that going on right now for us because the parents or guardians or family members the adults don't want to necessarily or feel safe in that instance. We do follow the laws of the state. I just want to be really clear. I'm mandated by that. We are mandated to follow the rules of Washington State around this, and specifically the Attorney General's office. And so it does require a warrant or a court order to come in the building and to just even engage with a student. So that is things. Also just even being on the property. So what they do, what ICE does out in the community, I do not have purview on that. We are not set up for that. So I know people want to advocate or get involved in that. We are not in that position as a school district. What we are in charge of is to make sure that we are continuously communicating, helping to give them information, and if they want to ask us for help and assistance, there are many community agencies that are standing ready. I've talked to them personally to assist families in understanding what the laws are, where the supports are, and the things like that. I've spoken directly to the staff about it and answered a lot of questions, and they know we have some specific procedures we follow. So that was a lot. It is unfortunately a complex situations because it does start with relationships and trust. That's what they're really trying to build here. Please continue to send your kid to get educated. That is really also a really important message, I think, out of a lot of things, because continue to provide some of the continuity for them is good. Separation and all the things that come with that, we have that going on irregardless of immigration here. This is a high needs community, just Evergreen, the Shelton School District. So we are actually well versed in understanding some of the impacts on students and families, how to bridge some of those things and get some other supports, because there are some right here in the community or the South Puget Sound in particular.
Paula, families get emails, I'm sure, from their principal or their teachers on a weekly basis about things going on, but in the last few minutes, what are we looking forward to here at Evergreen over the next, well, through the end of the year at least?
Oh my goodness.
End of this calendar year, let's say.
Okay, so through December, we have, as I said earlier, next Friday is going to be our presentation of our writing in the classrooms. And then we have our literacy night coming up November 20th at 5:30. And we have also, I don't have the date in my head, December, I'm looking at Melissa, but our acceleration team celebration will be, I believe it's the first week of December 11th, second week of December 11th here, and we'll be celebrating all of our students that are graduating out of the first 6 weeks of the acceleration team. And
We have a few assemblies as well. We have Veterans Day Assembly. Our third graders are performing. Our Wildcat Assembly, acknowledging the word of the month for November is self-control. So acknowledging students who model making good decisions, solving problems, and showing respect through the lens of self-control. And, of course, the annual, will be my first turkey trot. The Evergreen
Turkey Trot.
On the Wednesday before Thanksgiving during the half day. So
well worth attending. That's super fun.
Very nice. Paula, Kat, Wyeth, thank you so much for some time here. Again, we're going to do this throughout the rest of the schools over the course of the next month or two. Next, we'll be at Mountain View Elementary on the 18th, again at 5 o'clock for another conversation focusing on that school. We'll do the high school before too long. We'll be over at Choice and Cedar as well, so we'll make sure that information is available for folks. I really appreciate the thoughtful questions that came in, both online and here in the audience, and thank you for your time, and thank you for your time.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you,
everyone.